Hello, hello. What up? It's Persia Nicole, representing Course 92Q and Radio 1 Be More. Welcome to the Purple Table Talk. Thanks to our family, Be More for Healthy Babies, for helping us bring you this virtual haul, celebrating Black Breastfeeding Week. We have some amazing panelists joining us today. So, give us mama some good information, some good inspiration. So first up, I want to introduce you to Dr. Bronner. Dr. Bronner, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you today?
I'm good. It's a little hot outside, but we're here.
All right. So we're ready to roll. My name's Yvonne Bronner, and I'm a professor in public health over at Morgan State University. And I am just so happy to be here. Good Morgan. That's right.
Yeah.
I have my good 4 minutes, so I'm not going to waste any time. I have 4 minutes and 4 points. To talk about the historical context of breastfeeding with African American women. And, breastfeeding has so much power. And so what I decided to do was to use power as the way to get my points across. My first point is that breastfeeding.
Really quick, Dr. Bronner, I want to circle that too, but I want to bring in some other panelists so we can have our whole conversation together too. We have like 3 other ladies want to bring in too, okay?
Oh, okay, good.
Really quick. I want to also bring in Jasmine Covington. Hey, Jazz.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. So yeah, I'm Jasmine. I am Program Director of Home Visiting at Family League of Baltimore, where I work on the Be More for Healthy Babies initiative and provide support to our citywide home visiting system. So very excited to be here with you all.
We're excited to have you, Jasmine. Anissa Bamba, what up, Anissa?
Hello. I'm Anissa. By profession, I'm an educator. I taught high school and middle school English, but for these last few years, I've been a breastfeeding, homeschooling mama of 3.
Yeah, all them babies. Yes. Okay, so let's bring in Tanil Bailey. Hey, Tanil.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tanil Bailey. I'm Maternal Health Coordinator with Baltimore Healthy Start, and I also serve the DMV area as a birth doula, and it's wonderful to be here.
We're so excited to have all of you ladies here. Welcome all together. Let's dive right into it as we're having this amazing convo today in celebration of Black Breastfeeding Week. You can hop in the conversation really easy. Just type in some questions. If you're on Facebook Live, you may have for our panelists. We'll pop it up right up on the screen and we'll get the questions answered, all right? Dr. Bronner, let's circle back to you, okay? I want to start with you. Could you give us some historical context on breastfeeding and Black women? Let's do that.
All right, so let's go all the way back to wet nursing. Our ladies did wet nursing, and through slavery, this was something they did not do by choice. And so our ladies have been breastfeeding the whole time. Then we move into the world wars. And when everybody went to work, their demand for wet nursing even increased more. And so our women have always breastfed, and this seems to be lost in the current conversation. As a matter of fact, when the rate went down to 22% around the middle of the 20th century, we were still breastfeeding at the higher rate. And sometimes we forget that, because the conversation is now about us breastfeeding at a lower rate. And so we were the last ones to stop, but there are many problems with us coming back really fast. And we know those, we work in situations where we often do not have the kind of leave, etc. But that has not stopped us. We have many organizations that are working to help us be successful. We've got the African American Breastfeeding Coalitions, the Black Mamas. We've got the Breastfeeding Sisters and Receiving. We've got the National Association of Professional Lactation Consultants working together, and people of color reaching our sisters everywhere. All of these organizations are helping us to move forward. So what is the last point that I want to make? The first one is, why is this all so important? Breastfeeding has really 2 main points that I want to leave with the audience. And I'm going into these points because I did research with men on breastfeeding. We're talking about women and breastfeeding, right? But, our men have to be supportive, right? And so when I did work with men in breastfeeding, they wanted to know the facts. And sometimes they knew more of the facts than the women. And they wanted to know how the breast worked. How does this breast produce breast milk? And how does it flow down and all of that? So we made a video that shows all of this, and our men wanted to know about it. And so I'm going to rehearse 2 factoids that were so important. The first first one is the bonding issue. And I'm going to stress that because all of you know, but our audience might not know how critical to brain development bonding is. And so when we have the baby, we want that touch of the skin to skin. We want eye contact. And these are very important things for us to stress with our breastfeeding mothers. The skin to skin contact and the eye contact. We don't want babies while you're watching and on that phone. Absolutely not. We want that brain stimulated by the eye contact. And then the content of the breast milk, where we have those long chain fatty acids that are stimulating brain growth and development. The men really like this. In fact, they liked it so much that they got carried away. We said, my mate's going to breastfeed. I said, slow down. You don't tell people to breastfeed. You work with them as they make that decision. And so as I close, what I'm trying to say is that our Black women have always been breastfeeding. We understand the value of bonding and the chemical factors, the protective immunity that breastfeeding gives us. And our communities are going to continue to grow and benefit as our women continue to breastfeed, one baby at a time.
I love that. Thank you so much, Dr. Bronner. And, shout out to all the papas, too, that is a part of breastfeeding, because you are a part of that as well, because we have to be able to work with each other, right? Like, you pass me the pump, you do this over here. Like, bring the baby this way. I breastfed my son. I wanted to do it a lot longer, but I breastfed him for about 2 months. And it was really hard when I dived back into work. And trying to be on air, right? So I'm on air and I'm trying to pump so I can have milk for my son at home. So it was a lot, but I had great support system. And I think definitely support system of your husband and your family, your friends is a must. When
it's a family affair. It's a family affair. And that's a very important concept to get across.
Yeah, absolutely. Jasmine, let's talk about Family League's role in improving Black maternal health outcomes.
Sure. So Family League currently supports a lot of different initiatives that are designed to improve maternal health. So we have 4 citywide home visiting programs that we support, and they see mom from the time that they're pregnant up until the time baby is around 3 years old. And what home visiting does is it connects families to really essential resources. It helps with things like family goal planning, safe sleep and breastfeeding education, and they do screenings like developmental, domestic violence, depression, and more. So we were recently able to launch a project where a lot of our home visiting families are eligible to receive $500 a month in monthly housing supports to help alleviate financial stressors that might contribute to experiencing a poor birth outcome, particularly for our Black moms. We do support one other home visiting program, and it's a little bit different in that they provide services to moms who have experienced a pregnancy or infant loss. So they do home visiting, and they do group-based support groups and things like that. So in addition to this home visiting work, we are currently training our second cohort of doulas in partnership with an organization called Mom Cares. And we work with 2 Be More for Healthy Babies communities in Upton Druid Heights and Patterson Park North and East, who really engage community and provide community-based activities and different group-based programming, such as we have Baby Basics Moms Clubs. They do breastfeeding and fitness groups, and also do some case management to help improve birth outcomes. And I'd say last, but certainly not least, we were recently in Baltimore selected as one of 9 cities to participate as members of a Queens Village learning cohort ran by an organization in Ohio called Cradle Cincinnati. So, and what this cohort will allow us to do is to work with people all over the country who are doing this work and who are committed to reducing Black infant mortality and really prioritizing Black women and families. So it's a really, really exciting opportunity to help kind of change the narrative for Black maternal health.
I love that right there. Big moves around here. Big moves. Yolanda pops up on the screen. She says, shout out to all the dads and all the support systems, of course, that his mama's getting, of course. Hashtag Papa's matter too, and big support system matters too. So we appreciate that right there. Again, if you have a comment, if you have a question for any of our panelists as we're having a conversation, just type it in and we'll pop it up on the screen and get the question answered. Shout out to the Mom Cares. Yeah, absolutely. AA. Jasmine, as a mom yourself, It's a lot that goes with it. So how has working at Family League and with Be More for Healthy Babies initiative shaped your maternal experience altogether?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm program director of home visiting at Family League, but my most important title is Avery's mom. So I'd say that working at Family League and with the Be More for Healthy Babies initiative has been extremely influential in my motherhood experience. So I was fortunate enough to be able to breastfeed my daughter for 19 months. And I really don't think I would have been as successful without the support of my organization and my colleagues. So yeah, I had the support of family and friends, but I spent a significant amount of my time at work. So that organizational support was really, really important. So everyone understood the importance of me breastfeeding, and not only did they understand it, but they actually respected it. So I was able to take my pump breaks with no questions asked. I was able to kind of say, hey, I might be a little late to this meeting because I really have to go pump, and no one side-eyed me for it, you know? So even our partner organizations, so like the health department and Baltimore Healthy Start, they had lactation spaces in areas that were available to me if I was at their site for meetings or whatnot. So I was so grateful for those spaces. And I think it made the breastfeeding experience a lot less stressful. And so I know that that's not everyone's story, but I truly believe that it should be, and that all women should have an opportunity to have a successful breastfeeding journey if that's how they decide they would like to feed their child. And I think that my experience is just one example of what could happen if women were surrounded by like supportive community and adequate resources.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's take it over to another question right here. Rachel, it's supporting the lactation spaces made available in workplaces to encourage breastfeeding. Absolutely. And just like you were saying, Jasmine, like, at your work office, you didn't get the side eye. Like, it's not like that for a lot of different workplaces. And it has to become something that is okay. This is natural. Like, this is how we have fed our babies for years and years and years before there was other different options to feed your child. So if you see a woman out breastfeeding, she is taking care of her child. She's making sure her child is nurtured and fed. So I agree 100%. There should be more in workplaces, and it should be a natural, normal thing, right?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. Let's take it over to another mama, Anissa. So your mother three, like you said earlier. What has been your experience as a breastfeeding mama?
Okay, so like I said, I have 3 kids. My oldest is 7 years old. And when I had her, when she was 4 months, I actually started grad school. So going back to the importance of lactation spaces, my school, I went to Teachers College, Columbia University, and they had a lactation space. And that was crucial for me because Columbia is in New York and I lived in New Jersey. So I had a long commute. It wasn't like I could run back home real quick or anything like that. So having that space really just helped me, continue on my breastfeeding journey. So typically I breastfeed my kids for 2 years. And a big reason, a big influence why I do that is because of my religion. As you can see, I'm Muslim. So in the Quran, it actually talks about breastfeeding and how breastfeeding is a right of the child. So it says that mothers may breastfeed their children 2 complete years for whoever wishes to complete the nursing period. And during that time, the father has a responsibility of providing for the mother, making sure that she has shelter, clothing, and food so that she can, adequately breastfeed her child. So my oldest was 7. I was in school. I was in school when I was breastfeeding her. And then I have a 3-year-old son. And with him, I was working as a teacher at the time. And I went back to work when he was like 4 or 5 months. And at that time, my milk supply dropped dramatically. And so that was really devastating for me because I was like, what am I going to do? He's in daycare. I never gave my daughter formula. And I was like, had all of these negative thoughts going in my mind about giving formula. And I talked to my sisters, I talked to my family, and they were like, Anissa, it is okay. Give that baby formula and he will be fine. He's still going to be smart. He's still going to be fed. That is the most important thing. So that was a really challenging, you know, a couple of days getting used to it, and then just speaking positivity to myself, you know, that I was still a good mother. And so I would send him to daycare with formula, and then at home I would still nurse him, and I continued nursing him up until past 2 years old. I'm sorry. So he was almost 2.5. And then now I have a 6-month-old baby, which I had a home birth with her. So that was an amazing experience in and of itself. And I just breastfed her before, you know, we started. So I love breastfeeding. You know, we talked about the connection, the bonding, those eyes looking up at you are the most beautiful thing in the world. And the eye roll once they latch on, and it's like you could just see it in their face. This is the best thing ever. That's really, you know, my favorite part. And then my son, when I used to feed him, once he was like 1.5, he would roll his cars on me like a racetrack while he was nursing. So, you know, it's just those little things that really are just so beautiful that I love breastfeeding. It is hard. It is challenging. I'm not going to lie. You know, breastfeeding it's a full-time job. People really don't realize, you know, how much time breastfeeding actually takes up, especially in the beginning when they're newborns. And so it's so tough, but it's all worth it in the end.
Yeah. And I would think about, especially when you want to take like the vacations or the parents are going away for the weekends. You're like, okay, I have to freeze my milk. I have to do this. I have to do that. But you know that they're going to be taken care of. But in that moment, you're like freaking out. Like,
yes.
So you need a support system to say, bring it on down.
Yes, exactly.
Right. If you're just tuning in, welcome to the Purple Table Talk. Thanks, of course, our families over at Be More for Healthy Babies. We have amazing panelists. We're talking about breastfeeding, giving you some encouragement, giving you some good information. We have somebody over here. There's a comment. They just said exactly what I just said. There we go. Yeah. Great minds think alike. Okay, so also, you know what? I want to talk about this really quick because Anissa, you talked about you breastfeeding your son until like 2.5. Did you all see the story with Ice T and Coco? How she was saying that she's still breastfeeding her daughter. I think her daughter's like 5, 6 or something like that. What is your take on that as far as breastfeeding and keep on, you know, allowing your child to kind of do that until that age? You want to hop in? Let's see. Dr. Bronner, do you want to hop in?
Yeah, let me get started because one of the things that we know is we have to ask the question, why? Now, sometimes it's the mother's lack of ability to allow the child to take on independence and to move on in the stages. Sometimes if it's truly cultural, where they come from a place where a lot of people breastfeed for those extended periods of time, it's a little bit more understandable, but sometimes you really do have to look at it in a little bit more detail so that because you don't want to create a codependent state between the child and the mother. And if those kinds of psychological things are happening, then a wise pediatrician should be aware of that and should be able to know whether this is a healthy psychological relationship or whether this is something that's slipping into codependence.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And that was kind of my issue right there too. I'm like, I don't know. Like at that point, you should allow your child to kind of get on their own and try different things like juice boxes and stuff like that. Okay, so Rachel, are there resources available for mothers who need to work, want to breastfeed, but can't afford a pump? That's a good question right there. Who wants to take that on? Nisa?
Yeah. Sure. Well, so a lot of insurance companies offer mothers free breast pumps. So I've never paid for a breast pump. I've always gotten it through my insurance. And so typically you reach out. There is a website. There are a few different websites, but I've always used, I think it's called Aeroflow. And you just put what your insurance information is, and then they will give you a whole list of breast pumps that are available through your insurance, ones that are completely free, you won't have to pay anything, and then some that you may have to pay, X amount of money. And then they will typically send it to you within that last month of pregnancy so that you have it by the time you deliver. You do have to get a form. They do all of the work. They reach out to your provider, your OBGYN, whoever's going to be delivering the baby. They get a prescription from them, and then they just mail it to your house.
Yeah, Tanil, let's take it over to you. What are some other good resources that Baltimore moms and breastfeeding mamas can tap into?
So some other great resources that mothers in the city can take advantage of, one that comes to mind is the Maryland WIC program, just to get started with that. And then also the Maryland Breastfeeding Coalition. So if you go onto their website, you'll be able to pull up a tab of breastfeeding resources, and it's broken down by county. And in the city of Baltimore, the major delivery hospitals all offer breastfeeding classes and support groups. So those are some other resources that moms can take advantage of. And then trickling on down to community resources, of course, there's Hello Baby. Mom Cares is another great resource. The Bloom Collective, Be More for Healthy Babies. And of course, Baltimore Healthy Start. At Baltimore Healthy Start, moms can take advantage of breastfeeding classes where they can receive education and support, and also just form sisterhood bonds with one another. And additional information that you want to learn about Baltimore Healthy Start, including the breastfeeding classes, can be found on the website baltimorehealthystart.org. And also, as far as particular people, one person that comes to mind is Tanika Coleman. She is an internationally board certified lactation consultant, and she's also going to be facilitating a virtual chocolate milk bar with us tomorrow evening at 5:30. So folks that are interested, breastfeeding moms that are interested in a virtual event that's going to center storytelling, sharing experiences and lessons learned while on the breastfeeding journey, can go over to the Baltimore Healthy Start Facebook page and get more information on that.
Okay, I love the chocolate milk behind that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nothing's better than some chocolate milk. Okay,
thank you.
More by me, us ladies, we know this, right? Yes. Yes. What are the benefits of having a doula? I want to keep with you, Tanil, and talk about this to help navigate the breastfeeding process.
So doulas are an amazing support and resource with regard to information and education to expectant moms and also moms that have gone into the postpartum phase of their journey. Just speaking from personal experience, there have been a number of clients that I've assisted along their birth journey that have had questions around breastfeeding. And sometimes it's just all a matter of when you're in the hospital room or when you're in the home or the birth center, wherever they just so happen to have given birth, it's all a matter of just showing them the mechanics of breastfeeding, how to hold the baby, showing them how to just gently nuzzle the nipple near the baby's mouth and just letting nature take its course. Some moms need a little bit more support, so that's where the in-person or in-home support becomes crucial and very important. Some moms, they breastfeed beautifully in the hospital because there are individuals in place that can help them along. But once they get home, sometimes it can be like night and day. So having a doula that you can reach out to and have available to provide that in-person, one-on-one support can definitely mean a world of difference to a breastfeeding mom. And sometimes the difference between breastfeeding for maybe a couple of weeks and giving up, or really laying down that foundation and being able to stick with it for months and then going on to that 1 year mark and beyond.
Let's see. Shout out to Tamika, and please join us for the chocolate milk bar tomorrow. Yes, chocolate milk. Yeah. Really quick, you know what? Because a lot of people don't realize a whole bunch of hearts, yeah, a whole bunch of love around these parts, yes. From your years of breastfeeding, because a lot of people, might hear different things, or they're not sure if this is the right thing. They might hear different myths or things like that. And your knowledge of breastfeeding, what is one thing or a few things you want people to know about breastfeeding that maybe isn't like general information that's been given out? Dr. Brown, I'll start with you.
Yeah, especially coming out of the last little discussion that we had. I think a lot of our women, because of the culture of breastfeeding not being as secure as it once was, they don't go into it with the notion that I am going to make this happen, it's going to work. They go in with a level of fear and trepidation. And I think one of the things that we can do as practitioners is try to do whatever we can to develop the culture of breastfeeding, which means that the expectation is that you will do this, you can be successful. This is the way we feed our babies, because our babies are important and breast milk is the absolute gold standard.
Absolutely. Jasmine.
For me, just that people don't talk about that breastfeeding is hard. It is not just as simple as putting baby to boob. And I think that's something that new moms need to know, because if you do struggle in the beginning, that doesn't mean that you won't be successful later on. I actually did have to supplement with formula maybe the first week or so of my daughter's life. And I went on to be able to 100% nurse for 19 months. So I think, like Anissa was saying earlier, just having that family support can make all of the difference in the world. And that you're not a failure if you're not successful or if you do struggle. It's a learning experience for you both. Baby has never been here before. You've never been a mom to this baby before. And just give yourselves a little bit of grace.
Absolutely. Although sometimes I feel like with kids, we're like, they've definitely been here before. Like, I'm like, wait a minute, what is happening? Tanil, let's take it over to you.
I definitely want to convey to moms that pretty much moms are not broken, systems are broken. And just to build off of what Jasmine said, just because you start off on the breastfeeding journey and you hit a couple of potholes, a couple of obstacles along the way, it truly takes a village. There are individuals in community. There are individuals within your family, within your friends network that are willing to help, that are willing to offer you that listening ear, that are willing to do the research if you're unable. And find the resources for you again if you're unable. And even though breast milk is the gold standard, to Dr. Bronner's point, and it's baby's first food, as long as baby is being fed and as long as baby is full and healthy and happy, you should not feel any sort of mom guilt on any way that you choose to feed your baby.
Absolutely. Anissa, let's wrap up that convo with you.
Okay, I'll say there are so many tools and gadgets to help mothers these days. So, for example, even in terms of breast pumps, there are different size flanges that you can put on, and you have to make sure you get the right one so that it's comfortable. Breastfeeding should not hurt. It might hurt in the beginning because it's a completely new experience, but it should not hurt. And then there are also nipple shields, and people have different size nipples, different types of nipples. If your nipple is inverted or out, or there are just so many gadgets that you can use to help you be successful on the breastfeeding journey.
Absolutely. Ladies, this has been amazing. We have like a minute and like some change, a little bit left over for this conversation. Anissa, let's wrap up actually with you since we're just finished talking to you. Can you give us a website we can go to for some resources really quick and social media pages?
Okay, so my social media is just my name at Anissa Bamba. And I don't have a website. Like I said, I'm a homeschooling mama. So that's my website, my IG.
Okay, I know that's right. Yeah. Tanil, really quick, let's give us a website and some socials.
Absolutely. You can find me personally on Instagram at Tanil_Michelle. And you can always find me via Baltimore Healthy Start. And that's as simple as going to our Facebook page, on the website, again, baltimorehealthystart.org. You can also find us on Twitter, and that handle is @BMOHealthyStart.
Okay. Hey, Michelle. Yep. Great discussion, ladies. This definitely has been amazing. Jasmine, let's give us a website and some social media.
Yes. So to get in touch with me, you can find me on Family League's website, familyleague.org, or on Beamer for Healthy Babies website, Healthy Babies Baltimore.
Okay, Dr. Bronner.
And of course, you can find me at Morgan State University. Whatever it is, just go to Morgan, and I'll be right there.
Go Bears! Yeah, this has been the Purple Table Talk. Got me right here feeling like Jada Pinkett Smith. Thanks to Be More for Healthy Babies. Thank you, ladies. It's been amazing. You can log on to healthybabiesbaltimore.com for more info. Of course, at Be More for Babies, and so much more. Have a great rest of your day. Stay cool out here too, because it's hot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.